So I loaded up the family. I made the trip to the Lexington Comic and Toy Convention where I met my hero, Sam Raimi, which inspired me to come back and make this prop of Linda's severed and possessed head from Evil Dead 2. We started off with a styrofoam head. We cut out the eyes and we popped in our set of fake ones. Next, we're going to cut out the jaw. I'm going to use this set of Bite Mare's demon teeth from Trick or Treat Studios. I hot glued the lower part of the teeth to the cutout part of the jaw. Then I reattached the jaw with some hot glue. I'll be using air dry foam clay, so I'm going to fill in the mouth with it now and then glue the upper part of the teeth in place. Now we're going to cover the rest of the face with the foam clay. After the face is covered with the foam, I painted over the eyes with this high-gloss white acrylic paint. Did 2 coats for maximum coverage. After that dried, I added her eyelids and tried to blend as best as I could. We can blend these a little more after the foam dries and we sand it down. So for sanding, you can use a fine grit sanding sponge or paper. Or you can use water and a sponge to soften the clay after it's dried and then smooth it out with your finger. Alright, well that looks good to me. So we're going to let this thing dry. And then once that's done, we're going to paint this thing with a warm beige acrylic paint. Next, I'm going to use this dark scarlet for the inside of the mouth and her lips.
Welcome to Fright Volume 4.
I'm also going to borrow my wife's blush to give Linda a little color.
There is no turning back. Enjoy.
A little color in those cheeks, girl. So to me, Linda's eyebrows look painted on in the movie, so I'm just going to add them on with this Sharpie, which ends up looking, it looks kind of lame. Let's add some red around her severed neck. So after all the details were done, I covered the head with this high gloss varnish to give her that shine. While this is drying, let's give our girl some eyelashes and add in some more color. After this, it's time to build our table with this slightly warped and discounted wood. And let's do this 80s TV montage style. Time to make this table look weathered with a technique we picked up from Van Oaks Props. First, I'm going to paint the whole thing a burnt umber, and let it dry. Next, we're going to go over it with this wood glue. Make sure you do this in sections because you don't want it to totally dry before the next step. You can apply the glue as is for bigger cracks, or you want to slightly thin it down with some water for smaller cracks. I thinned mine down. Maybe a little bit too much. Apply a layer, and then once it's tacky to the touch, it's time to move on to the next step. I'm going to use this pewter gray for my top layer. I'm going with a darker look to this thing. We're going to be applying it with this scrap block of wood to get longer strokes. You just dip it in the paint and glide it across. And once that's complete, we're going to let it dry. As the glue dries, it begins to get this cracked look. Like I said, I think I watered the glue down too much, so make sure you use a very small amount of water. Like I said, these cracks in here should be a little bit more prominent, but we learn for next time. I'm going to add some black acrylic paint and then spray it immediately with water to give it some of that dirty look. This looks done to me. Let's attach the vise. I'm gonna give a shout out to my friend Sean for giving me this old vise that he had. Otherwise, these things aren't cheap. Time to add Linda's head and tighten it into place. Now we hook her up with some hair and add some permablood to her neck. Now I also mixed some black paint to the permablood for the sludge she gets on her face. I mixed some with some water and sprayed it on and then applied some with a brush. Little dab here, girl. Linda's looking dope, yo. So I got this doohickey from Amazon. It's a motion-activated speaker you can download custom audio to. I attached it to the table and ripped the audio from the scene in the movie so she can greet people as they walk by. A little window dressing with the old lantern.
Even now we have our darling Linda's soul. She's suffered in torment. You're going down.
Okay, let's give it some nice lighting from underneath, and this Linda is good to go. Little spooky red, and Linda says,
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for these fantastic